Welcome to the Telescope Show. We laugh, we discover God, and we totally nerd out. Welcome, and thanks for listening again. My name is Matthew Seipel Anderson.
And I'm Katie Seipel Anderson, and we like to welcome you once again for the third time.
You are very welcome.
To the show.
Yes. So, Katie, did you know that Miss Marvel is hitting Disney Plus on June 8th? June 8th. It's like right around the corner.
Ooh, it's the 7th today?
Yeah.
So that's tomorrow. By the time all of you are listening to this episode, Miss Marvel will be out.
But you'll want to listen to this first because it's way better.
Probably.
Oh, yeah.
Matt, did you know that grapes light on fire in the microwave?
I did not know that.
According to Google.
Hey, we have grapes. We should try it.
Sure.
Someday on this show, we'll tell the story of when our dog ate almost a whole thing of grapes off of our kitchen table. But not today.
Jeff Finnegan,
not
if
today.
You're listening, shout out to you for keeping your dog safe.
Yes. Well, in other news, Jurassic Park Dominion hits theaters on June 10th. So that'll be fun. The third installment of this new Jurassic Park trilogy.
I've not really been into the Jurassic Park movies.
Nothing beats the original, of course.
Have I seen the new ones?
I think so. With Chris Pratt and Blue.
I know I've seen the previews for. Yes, I've seen one of them. How many are there?
Well, now there's 3.
Oh, well, I've seen one of them for sure.
Yeah.
But did you know that there are almost 8 million possible 7-digit phone numbers per area code?
Wow.
Yep, according to Google.
So if that many people live in an area code, they just stop letting people in?
With phone numbers?
I guess you can live here. You just can't have a phone.
I mean, with cell phones now, I don't know.
Thor: Love and Thunder arrives in theaters July 10th. We're pretty excited about that.
Ooh,
Did you know that?
I did know. I'm excited for it. I actually didn't realize it was July 10th, although I should have. But did you know that... I don't even know if I can say it. Spaghetto, confetto, and graffito are the singular forms of spaghetti, confetti, and graffiti.
What? Can you say them again?
I don't think so. I'm laughing too hard.
Spaghetto?
Confetto and graffito.
That's awesome.
According to Google.
Hand me a strand of spaghetto, please. Oh, man. Well, today is a special day because...
Wait, I do have one more.
Okay, all right.
This one was really funny to me. Did you know that McDonald's once created bubblegum-flavored broccoli?
No!
Oh, this is all just Google, so I don't know if it's real or not, but it's funny to think about.
Oh, that's awesome. That would mean that somebody got in front of a group of other food people, food scientists, and was like, guys... I've got a way for kids to eat broccoli.
Bubblegum flavored anything is nasty.
Maybe that's the only flavor that would mask broccoli.
Maybe.
Broccoli's pretty intense.
That just sounds really gross on all sorts of levels.
Amazing. Speaking of amazing things that are way better than bubblegum flavored broccoli, today we have part 1 of our interview with Dr. James Bradford. Dr. Bradford has a PhD in Aerospace Engineering. So without further ado, here is our interview with Dr. James Bradford. Well, Katie and I are on the phone with Dr. Jim Bradford. Dr. Bradford, it's great to have you with us this morning.
Well, it's great to be with you, Matthew and Katie. I sure enjoyed meeting you personally a couple of months ago, and it's an honor to talk with you today.
So I just want to mention a couple of your ministry highlights because it was great. We were part of a class with Dr. Bradford. It was a great class. We learned a little bit about him, which was awesome. And some of his highlights of things that he's done from a ministry. He's the lead pastor, currently the lead pastor of Central Assembly in Springfield, Missouri. He's also authored 3 books, including one called Preaching, Maybe It Is Rocket Science, which I think, even though I don't preach, I might just need to read.
We need to read that, definitely.
Yeah, I think so. And then he's been the General Secretary for the U.S. Assemblies of God for 9 years. And as a college student, he led a small Chi Alpha Bible study that eventually grew into a university church at the University of Minnesota. And of course, Minnesota is our home state.
Yeah,
so we have a special
Good old
connection with
Minnesota.
Dr. Bradford.
And
Go Gophers.
And something that sets Dr. Bradford apart from any other pastor I've met is he has a PhD in aerospace engineering. So that's so cool.
I haven't met anyone else ever that had a PhD in aerospace engineering, I'll be honest.
Well, actually have somebody attending the church I pastor who has a PhD in aerospace engineering and specialized in fluid mechanics, which is my area. But that's the only other person I know myself.
They say you attract like people. Maybe that's why.
Wow.
Yeah.
John Maxwell, law of attraction.
Yeah. I like to think I draw the nerds out of the woodwork.
You're in good company then.
You're in the right place. So, Dr. Bradford, what inspired you to pursue aerospace engineering?
Well, I loved science from the time I was young. And when I was in high school, I had an especially good physics teacher who just helped things click for me. And I was always kind of inclined more to the sciences than probably the arts anyway, as much as I admire people who are good in the arts. And then, to be honest, I probably watched too much Star Trek when I was a teenager. And
yes.
I just love flying, the idea of flying planes, spacecraft, science fiction, all of those things fascinate me. And I really liked physics. So those things all coalesced for me by the time I was trying to make a college decision.
Well, we love that you just said you were partially inspired by Star Trek. We just did a couple episodes on Star Trek, and we like Star
right?
Trek too. We did, yep. So, who is your favorite Star Trek character?
Oh man, that's like asking what your favorite ice cream flavor is.
Changes based on the day.
Yeah, I'm going to go right back to the beginning. William Shatner, James Kirk, Captain Kirk.
Okay, yep.
James T. Kirk. He was probably my favorite, the classic. Although I really like Captain Picard a lot, and Data always fascinated me. This idea of artificial intelligence being able to take on human characteristics. It's all fun stuff to think about. But I would have to go back to Captain Kirk.
That's fair.
That's a great choice. The original space cowboy, Captain Kirk.
Yeah, he was a space cowboy. Yeah, I got to know a little bit of his family as well.
Really?
Personally. Although I never met him personally. Yeah, his daughter and her husband attended the church I pastored in Southern California for a while. And so I have an autograph book that he wrote me, that he wrote about the original TV series. He personally autographed it for me. And although I never met him personally, but through his family, had a little bit of a relationship. So that probably biases me too. Yeah. He just was, though, that outer space cowboy and that kind of embodiment of courage and smarts, and could always get out of a mess, So I don't know. He just intrigued me as kind of a hero figure.
That's so cool.
That's so fun.
There was a traveling display of Star Trek memorabilia and stuff that came through Minneapolis one year, and they had the bridge set from the original Star Trek series. So that's the closest I've come to the original series, is I got to walk onto the bridge and get my picture taken in the captain chair.
Well, now that would be an enviable experience right there. That would be amazing.
So I'm just really behind because I got nothing. So this sounds awesome, though. I can just be excited for you guys and your experiences with Star Trek.
So you've got the degree in aerospace engineering, but then it seems like God had a different plan for your life, and you ended up in the ministry world.
I was leading a small Bible study at the University of Minnesota. I transferred there from Winona State, where you folks are. Same town. I did pre-engineering there. Went to the University of Minnesota because they offered full aerospace degrees up there. And I not only loved science when I was a teenager, but I loved Jesus too. I'd had a really personal encounter with the Lord when I was just young, and kind of grew up loving Jesus, trying to serve him. And so I got a part of a small Bible study. And during my second year of graduate school at the University of Minnesota, we saw a real breakthrough, an overnight kind of miraculous spiritual breakthrough. And we grew from 12 to 65 and then to 100. And so my last 3.5 years working on my PhD, I was also pastoring this group. We really didn't have a full-time campus pastor. It was pretty much student-led. And so I was leading this group. And I decided during my last year of school just to stay at the University of Minnesota when I graduated, live by faith financially, essentially, and just be the full-time Chi Alpha pastor of this group,
Wow.
This campus ministry group. And then a year later, we took 120 out of that group and started a university church. It's Sojourn Campus Church, and over 40 years later, that church is still there, being pastored by one of the students back in the days I was there. He was a math major, and he felt the call of God as well. So, yeah, it's not the right way to prepare for ministry, probably. I value theological education. I've had to be self-taught in that area, but yet, God has such sovereign ways in our lives, and the Lord just did something miraculous that I can't account for. And our group just started to grow like crazy when I was in grad school, and one thing led to another, and ended up backing my way into pastoral ministry.
That's so cool. So now taking these two things, your scientific training and your experiences with God, and how does that fit together? Some people say that religion and science are at odds, but have science and faith clashed for you, or do you feel like they have maybe enhanced each other?
To be honest, they've enhanced each other. I have not had science ever create a major faith crisis for me. I know it has for some people. I think it's kind of how you process the two. Science, our culture is tending to deify science. And if you try to replace the true and living God with science, it gives you something a little more tangible and controllable. It doesn't require a submission of your life. It doesn't require you dealing with the moral issues in your life by making science your God. And it's a very easy default position. Plus, people say, well, the Bible contradicts science, or science contradicts the Bible. I actually don't believe that's the case. I have not found that to be the case. In fact, the more and more I study God's word, and the more and more I just continue to be interested in science, I find they complement each other. And I found at the University of Minnesota, in grad school, I'd sit in these classes and I'd walk out just almost feeling like I'd been in a worship service. I wasn't worshiping science, but it just made me realize, this amazing genius God who created what we know today. The fact that we can understand how the universe works to some degree does not mean that we don't need a God. The fact that science works does not necessarily equal no God. And that's the equation that is being pushed on students. That's why, science is being portrayed as the enemy of faith and everything. If science works, then there must be no God. That's a huge logical leap. And I realized I had no grounds of taking that big a logical leap.
I love that. That's so good. In my life, I found that to be the case too, that science can be a real source of inspiration for faith.
Exactly.
You mentioned how sometimes people could make science almost their belief system, or try to use it to replace faith in some way. So can you expand on that a little bit? Like, what are the differences, or, why choose Jesus out of a crowd of other options for belief systems and spirituality, including science as a belief system almost?
Probably one of the more important equations in science is Schrodinger's wave equation. And Schrödinger himself wrote about his astonishment at how few things that science can actually address. We try to make science the ultimate end all and be all, but he says it's really very deficient because it doesn't really address, for all the good things it does do, including the fruit of advanced technology and things, it says nothing to us about those things that are truly important to our lives. It says nothing about beautifulness or ugliness, goodness or badness and evil. It says nothing about God or eternity. It just reduces us to being cosmic accidents. And that in turn just leads to despair. And I just I just believe that we are here. First of all, it seems to defy probability that we could be here by accident. That lends you to a creator. We know cosmology tells us that the universe had a beginning. Right now, physics is telling us that the laws of the universe are very finely tuned. Biology is telling us that life is coded with information. And the fact the universe has a beginning, that the laws of nature are finely tuned, that life is coded with information. I mean, none of those things take away my faith. In fact, they point me to the fact that there is a God, and he's intelligent, and he's a good God. And out of that, he sent his son, Jesus. And I know there's a lot of faith options out there, but the reason I'm a Christian is, first of all, what I understand about the universe fits fully and completely with the character of the God described in the Bible. And then I like how the historian Bruce Shelley put it. Christianity is the only major world religion to have as its central event the humiliation of its own God. I mean, why would you make up a religion like that? And it's this power of sacrificial love. This is the heart. Christianity embodies the highest of every human ideal, this idea of sacrificial love, of God created us and he loved us and we ran away from him, and there's moral problems that science can't address and doesn't have answers for. The issues of meaning, where do we get truth from? Where do we get values and morality from? I mean, how does human society even work together apart from a creator God? And science can't fix all of those other problems, but at the heart of our Christian faith is a God who died in our place at the cross. This is the power of sacrificial love. And there's no other religion like it. And it means that I can't deserve God's favor. I can't make a relationship with my creator happen on my own. But Jesus came and took the problem of evil. He took on the problem of the sin that separates me from God. By faith in him, by simple grace, that he loves me and he can forgive me in Christ and he can give me a personal relationship by his Spirit with him. I've not found anything else anywhere else. This doesn't contradict science. This goes beyond what science can possibly do.
Thanks again, Dr. Bradford, for taking the time to talk with Katie and I. We really, really enjoyed it. Something I love about Dr. Bradford is the heart that comes through when he speaks. If you would like to hear more from Dr. Bradford, you can listen to the Jim Bradford Podcast. You can also head over to jimbradford.org or centralassembly.org. You can find Dr. Bradford's books, messages, and other content that he has produced. Hey, thanks so much for listening today. Next week, we'll be talking about Miss Marvel. We plan on releasing the second part of our conversation with Dr. Bradford in the coming weeks, so stay tuned for that. If you haven't subscribed to the show in your podcast app or YouTube, make sure you hit that button before moving on with your day. And please share this show if you enjoyed it. Until next time, love y'all, take care, God bless, bye-bye.